Bill, thanks for being brave with camera on early. I think you're muted.
Hi, Catherine.
Jim, good morning. Great to see you.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a tough one because my son was in civil, and civil is having their thing at exactly the same time.
Oh, so you've got to you've got to thread the needle here or go split screen or half one, half the other. Well, we're delighted to see you here for a little bit anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I may have to split time a little bit, but anyway, it's good to see you. And I hear good things about the project we did together, so really happy about that.
I'm delighted. In fact, your team, they placed in the Silent Hoisting Crane Prize competition. So I'll have to send you a link to actually it's posted on the ORIE website, I think as of yesterday. So I'll have to send you a link to it. So you've got some bragging rights there, and we've got bragging rights for the students. So it's terrific.
All right, please do. That's great.
We will. I see Jack is on. Good morning, Jack. Got to unmute yourself though. Jack, you've got to unmute.
Okay, I'm now unmuted.
There we go.
How are you, Jim?
Good, good. It's a nice morning for a reunion here in the Westchester. I've got 2 herons and 2 swans that I've already fed this morning. So that was nice.
Well, see, I'm down here in Maryland. We've just got the cicadas going on down here, although thankfully it's nice and cool today. So they're just kind of taking a day off, but it's been crazy. I have never seen anything like it. I don't remember this in any other kind of 17-year cycle.
It's because you were so young then you didn't notice it.
This is interesting. This is the first time I've seen the students' faces, names, and concentrations go flipping by.
Well, I just gave Henry the go ahead to turn that off. So unfortunately.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, how you doing? It's good to see you, Jim. Good to see everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes as others trickle in.
I told Catherine I may have to leave you in a bit. My son went to civil engineering and they're having their session at the same time as this one.
You know, it's unfortunate. I knew that. I thought that we would not have overlap. So it's best laid plans, I suppose.
Yeah. Are these recorded so that you can see them after the fact? Some are and some aren't, I think.
Yeah, it is recorded. I can see the little button that's pushed.
Yeah, I don't want you to leave, but we are recording.
Okay.
I don't know this. I don't know if Sybil's recording there. That's.
All right. Well, I'm going to hang in here for a while.
So Jim, how have you survived the past year and a quarter or so?
Well, at home, unfortunately, I have an office here, so it's not cramped. And I was just saying that we have two swans. We're in an inlet of Long Island Sound, and have two swans that come in every morning and want to get fed for breakfast. So that's my highlight of the day.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. More so for Catherine than myself, I might add.
I'm just waiting a couple more minutes. I see others trickling in, so just wait a couple more minutes.
No, not at all. Sorry, Jim, I just sent you that link, so check your inbox.
Okay, great. I don't know how many of you saw Lance's session last evening at, I think it was 5 o'clock, 5 or 6.
Lyndon.
Yes. Mistake on that one. But it was very impressive. And it was particularly so in terms of operations research, got a lot of applause for doing the analysis that led Cornell to believe that it could operate online or in person. And the math showed that how the way that turned out to be a little bit conservative as well. So that was delightful to see him talking about.
Well, that's one of my slides, Jim. So you just stole my thunder.
That's all right. I'd like to see it again.
No, I just have one. We had an event in the spring, and so it's really just actually it's 2 slides just from as examples of OR. But maybe I should just get started then, because if we keep talking, then I won't have any slides to present. So let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen. I always have trouble with this, so I'm going to do my best to make that work. Screen 1. And hopefully you can see the agenda. Oops. Let me do that. Hopefully you can see the agenda. Am I right? Make it like, oh, that's not good. That's not better. So yeah, I'll just give you a quick welcome, which I'm happy to do now. I'm happy you all could make it this morning or evening or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. We do this every year, and no matter whether there's a pandemic or not. And we hope that next year we'll be back in Ithaca. But I think that we might do something which would allow people that are not in Ithaca to join as well while we're here. So something I've been thinking about how to figure that out. But I think we certainly would be happy to have you back in Ithaca to join with us for some fellowship. I'm going to give a quick review of what's going on with the school, so you're all aware. The main thing that the new dean has had us do is to consider a strategic plan. So I'll talk a little bit about that for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then I have a special announcement to make. And then we'll break out by class year. And you can see, I think this is right. Yeah, I think the Zoom links are in the agenda. You should have gotten in the Zoom invite. And you just bounce over to those different Zoom links by class, and they'll stay open for much of the rest of the time up until 11 o'clock or even beyond if we have to. All right, so there's that. There's not any questions. I do want to thank, believe it or not, the faculty are not really on anymore, but I do want to thank all the faculty that are here and were able to make it. You see a bunch of people that are going to be talking to you later on, but then I'm sure there are others that were able to get up this morning to connect with the alums. All right, so let me see if I can start my talk now. And if I do this wrong, which I do every time, let's see. Can you see the whole thing? Probably not, am I right? I can't see you, so I have to figure out how to do this the right way.
Yeah, Mark, you're in presentation mode, I think. There you go.
Let's try it this way. Still in presentation mode, right?
Yep.
How about now?
That's right.
Now it seems to be working. I can't see you, but I meant to show you something that you might appreciate. I'll show you after I go through a few slides here. The first thing I want to talk about, I have it on the wrong screen. I'm sorry. I have to move it over to the other screen. I can't see it while I'm talking to you. All right, I think this is not going to work, so I'm just going to have to just move on. I'll go through my slides and then you can see the first slide though, right? And you also probably see the preview on the left side. Am I right about that?
Yep.
Okay, so hopefully you can deal with ignore the left side, although if you want to look ahead, that's fine too. I just want to give you a snapshot of the school. We still have 18 faculty in Ithaca. A couple years ago when I started, we had 3 faculty at Cornell Tech. We have now grown to 5-ish. What I mean by that is we have 4 at Cornell Tech, I think, tenure track faculty at Cornell Tech, but I think in the next few months, we'll see the 5th shift over from being a visiting professor to well, we'll see. But anyway, I think we'll have 5 by the end of this year. We have 4 professors of practice. That'll be 5 by July of next year. 1 person is going to be added on. They cover a broad range of areas, financial engineering, fintech, supply chain, energy programming. And one of our professors of practice is actually a member of the National Academy of Engineering. So you'll see her name appear again in just a few minutes. The doctoral program has grown significantly over the last bit of time. It's now up to 51 students. I think by the fall of 21, it'll be a little bit higher, because we have a new incoming class of around 12 students. So we continue to grow that program as the people at Cornell Tech grow. We sort of match the growth of that program with the number of faculty, and that's where we're growing the most at Cornell Tech. Master of Engineering program has traditionally been around 90 to 100 students. I think this year, and Catherine and Victoria will correct me, we'll be a little bit above that. We're not really sure exactly because we have some deferrals because of immigration issues, but we think we'll see a little bit above the 100 student range in the fall. The undergraduate program, 202 students as of yesterday when I looked up the numbers. You can see here, there used to be 50-50 women to men. We've flipped over, and now we have more women, about 55% women and 45% men. Also, the URM numbers grew considerably from last year. So you'll see later on in the slide that we hope to grow those numbers, and they grew by 11 in just 1 year, while the number of total students dropped down from 208 last year to 202 this year. So that's a little bit concerning, the size of our undergraduate population. I don't have to tell this group what ORIEs do, but this slide is really to make the point that we have traditionally focused on developing mathematical tools, solve real-world problems, and we have 3 areas that we've covered: optimization, applied probability, and statistics. A more modern view of this, and that's the point of the slide, is to say that we're moving more and more into the information age, and so we're doing more data-driven decision-making and computation. And so the ORIE curriculum is even changing. Well, the details of that curriculum, what's being taught in the classes is even changing as the world changes. So this is the thing that Jim was talking about earlier. We had a session in the spring to highlight some of the efforts at the university level of some of our faculty. Peter Frazier's modeling team helped just to help the president decide to have an in-person instruction semester, first semester last year, which continued on to this semester. Several of our faculty were involved there, Shane Henderson, David Schmoyes, several PhD students. And this really was helping make her make the decision and then to follow on with the testing procedures that we use throughout the academic year. Of course, you can't have the students here without changing the way we do our class scheduling. And again, ORIE had an amazing impact there. David Schmoyes' scheduling team included several of our faculty, Brenda Dietrich, Oktay Gunluk, David Williamson, several students. I think even undergraduate students were involved in this, and David will be able to correct me where I go wrong here, but one of them was a Merrill Scholar. So really involved, ORIE was involved throughout the whole process of keeping the university open. So we have a lot to be proud of just in this year and moving forward. So the next thing the dean has asked us to do is look at our rankings and to see where we can improve. Luckily for us in ORIE, we don't have a whole lot of space to improve. We're ranked 4th by the U.S. News and World Report. This ranking is based a lot on reputation and then also on some things that some research expenditures and things like that. We never really think of these things as being completely solid in the way they do the methodology. You can see that Columbia and Princeton are not ranked in the top 10. Princeton's not even ranked in the top 13. Now, not losing sleep over that. I don't mind if Columbia and Princeton aren't ranked as highly as we think they should be, but that seems odd to us. Another ranking system is done by universities.com. And as of 2019, we're ranked 2nd behind Columbia and between Columbia and Princeton. And so who do we see as our competition? It really has been consistent since 2013. We see Stanford, MIT, Columbia, Berkeley, Princeton, Georgia Tech as our main competitors. And what I mean by competing, we're talking about trying to get in the best PhD students and recruit the best faculty. So I mentioned the tenure track faculty earlier. I don't want to give short shrift to the non-tenure track faculty. And I'm here highlighting professors of practice. We also have senior lecturers and lecturers, but I'm highlighting the professor of practice here. Brenda Dietrich, National Academy member, Jeffrey On Chair, has helped us move Oracle forward, the OR Advances for Collaboration that connects us with industry. And she comes to us with 30 years of experience in industry. So that's a big addition for us a few years back. Catherine Caggiano and Victoria Averbuk continue to lead what we believe is the flagship Master of Engineering program. We've won or been recognized twice in several awards, but each year they come up with new ways to improve the program, and most of my time with them is spent trying to help them put their vision forward. So that's just a great interactions I have with both of them. Oktay Gunluk joined us about a year ago after 20 years of experience at IBM. And Marcos Lopez de Prado, although he's moving on to a job in Abu Dhabi, was a professor of practice over the last year and received a Quant of the Year in 2019 by the Journal of Portfolio Management. So this is just to say that just like our tenure track faculty are doing amazing things, our non-tenure track faculty are also top notch and some of the best in the world. One of the big strengths we point to a lot is the undergraduate program. I mentioned earlier we have around 202 students, not around, exactly 202 students. This is down a bit, so that concerns us a little bit. We're trying to figure out ways to recruit more students. But the nice thing, I think this is really from Jim Renegar, explaining the way we do things and how it works, that our students that do so well in industry, is that we usually start out with a very specific model, and then extend that model to generalize. And that generalization takes what we consider important mathematical theory into practice. So when our students enter the job market, they're able to do a broad range of things. And just as an example of this, on the next slide, I have places where we've placed students. And what you see here on this slide is just a breadth of different areas. You see things that have to do with sports and Atlanta Braves and DraftKings. You see healthcare, you see pharmaceutical industry, tech industry, and manufacturing and supply chain industries. So just a broad range of things. And then the undergraduates that pursue graduate degrees go on and get their PhDs and do well in the job market. We've placed people at Michigan, Columbia, Wharton, Penn, et cetera, Wharton at Penn, et cetera. So we view this as another strength of our program. Okay, so with all that being said, I'm sure that's a mouthful for you guys, but we put forth what we view as a pretty bold vision. This is supposed to be sliding in and out. A pretty bold vision for strategic planning to the dean. And I'll just go over this slide quickly. The first thing listed there is the Data Science and Engineering Center. We have David Schmois is already in charge of data science and enterprise. I can't remember all the acronym, but a data science center at the university level. What we think we should have is a data science center at the engineering level, and we feel that we are poised to lead in this effort. We think that we should have twin thrusts. We can connect it with industry. We can connect it with education, and we believe that this will move the college forward in a strategic manner. If we do well at this, we would connect the Data Science Center and Engineering with Cornell Tech, and instead of having 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 faculty at Cornell Tech, we could connect with Weill Medical Center and increase our faculty size at Cornell Tech to 12. Now, the dean is not bought into this yet, but if we could do our due diligence and do a good job connecting with Weill Medical, we believe we can encourage him to do this. The third bullet point is about an AI major. This we think can be more broadly done through the center. We could have it university-wide or just college between the 2 colleges. But a new AI undergraduate major seems to be what the market is asking for. To do all of this, we would need to increase our teaching capabilities. We have a newly named teaching lab after Sridhar Tayor. I think he's here. But we believe we should have more of these kinds of labs to improve our ability to teach the students in the most modern way possible. We asked the dean to provide teaching faculty, revised coursework, and distance learning capabilities might be a place where we can put those faculty. And then, as is the case with me and I think the college, we always think about diversity efforts. We have 2 URM faculty and 4 female faculty. We believe we can double those numbers over the next several years. In fact, we just hired a new junior faculty member who will join us next year, a woman, to increase those numbers, and we'll just continue to see that go up. Our URM numbers before were at 13.5. As of this semester, we're actually almost 19%. So we almost reached our 20% goal even in 1 year, but we want to sustain that. PhD students, we don't have any URM students in the PhD program. We'll have 1 next year. We think those numbers should go up to around 5%. So that's a modest increase from where we have been. And the Master of Engineering program has traditionally been mostly international students. We'd like to see those numbers flip to having about a third of them be domestic or citizens or permanent residents. Just as an example of getting things started for our strategic plan, we started more than a year ago revising our undergraduate major curriculum, and that's chaired by David Williamson. And you can see just examples at the bottom here of things that have already changed, where it used to be a course called Industrial Data and Systems Analysis has now changed with Peter Frazier's help to Practical Tools for Operations Research, Machine Learning, and Data Science. It just changed how things are delivered and the application areas that they're looking at. 3510, which used to be called Introduction to Stochastic Processes, well, it still is called that, but now includes neural nets and using Google TensorFlow. So David is really working hard on looking at all the courses, and this summer we're revising 3300 and 3310 and 2700. So those are optimization courses and the probability and stats course I mentioned earlier. And that's really, again, aided by a gift from one of you, our alums, to your provided the gift money to help us get that done. So that'll be completed first half this year and then the next half the following year. So that's all I have to say. I have a big stop here slide to remind me to stop here. Happy to hear questions, thoughts, issues before we go on to the next part of the program. So thank you for your attention on that. Okay, so I see somebody asking about, yeah, so I see the question of how can we help? Well, I guess Tony is here. He's a development person, so I probably should answer. I probably got to be careful how I answer that question. I think that a lot of things that you're doing already is helpful. Staying connected with us is a help. I've been trying to connect the faculty with one of my things with the advisory council has been to try and make sure the faculty are connected with the alums. So that's the main thing. Of course, any kind of donations, we put those things to good use. So if you have that and have that ability and have a passion for that, we always have ways to use put your money to good use to help the department. Other thoughts? Okay. So, the next thing is it's interesting. So, I forgot to tell you what I was going to tell you. So it turns out that my daughter is going to be a Cornell student next year. And so I don't know if you can see this mug. Can you see that? So this is my new mug. I've been using it because I know there's going to be a lot of money being going to Cornell. And this is, I feel like I have to use a Cornell mug now that has my name, has a dad on there. So I'm very excited about this. She's not going to be in ORIE. She's going to be in AEP. So I think that has to do with not wanting to follow dad. But, there's always hope for each kid to change their mind, I suppose. So the next thing I want to mention to you is that throughout the last couple of years, what we've done is we try to highlight the looking forward, sort of going what we're doing in the future. And we did that in the spring with work that highlighting what David Schmoys and Peter Fraser had done for the university. And sort of saying the research is continuing on and continue to grow the department. And then in the fall, we try and look back and remember what great things have made this department what it is. And so in the fall, we highlighted Jack Muckstad's birthday and had an event to just celebrate that. Okay, so in March of this year, in mid-March, I got an email saying that we could maybe highlight something else. And I'll give you I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen and present some more slides, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's see, share my screen. Sorry, you're gonna see this on the side again. And so I think Mark Eisner is here. Are you here, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, good. So turns out that Mark, in its current the current form of the Master of Engineering program is really started in 1997, although we had an MEng program. Mark Eisner was hired by Bob Bland in that year. And I went around to all the previous directors and just asked what they thought of his contributions to ORIE. And here are just a few of I'm just going to read a few of the things that they said about him. And Bob Bland starts, he says, I am proud to have created the MEng director position and to have brought Mark back to Cornell to fill that position so effectively for the first 10 years. That's Bob Bland, he was the director in 96 to 99. Les Trotter says our school has certainly benefited from both from Mark's internal effort with the MEng program, as well as from the visibility provided by his external effort in Informs. Sid Resnick in 99 to 2004, he served more as an informal associate director than just an MEng director. In retrospect, I do not see how I or the school would have survived the 5 years without Mark. He was invaluable in so many different ways. Jim Renegar. In all aspects of running ORIE, Mark always has been ready to go the extra mile, entirely committed to the well-being of the department and his colleagues. ORIE would be a very different place if we had not had the great fortune of attracting Mark Eisner to lead our MEng program. So I hit Jim Renegar from 2004 to 2009. Adrian Lewis, through his energetic and imaginative leadership of our MEng program, constantly inventive, curious, engaged, articulate, caring, and genial, and his broader presence in the school's intellectual life, Mark remains for us all an abiding and inspiring ORIE presence. David Schmoys from 2013 to 2017. His eagerness to communicate the importance of the discipline and connect with students on the impact that they could have with the tools and basic science that they were learning in the classroom had an impact on all of us. So that's just up to 2017. I'm going to end with Shane Henderson. It's just 2009, 2010, and 2017, 2019. I think this captures everything that the the previous six statements said, and it says, his presence greatly enriched the ORIE culture. We owe him a great deal. So this is just highlighting all the things that Mark Eisner has meant to ORIE. And what happened in mid-March was I was told that we could allow people that were not tenure track, but who made a significant contribution to ORIE to be given emeritus status. And so, Mark doesn't know this until today, this is a surprise. I went and collected these quotes. I wrote a letter to the dean, who then subsequently sent it over to the provost's office. And just yesterday, around 5 o'clock in the evening, I found out that Mark Eisner was going to be afforded the title Emeritus Senior Lecturer. So the first bullet point just tells you what the emeritus means. Second bullet point tells you the title that he'll receive. And the letter is being prepared to be sent to his home now in the Baltimore area. So this is really congratulations to Mark Eisner. And if you don't mind, unmute and give a round of applause.
Thank you, Mark. This is really quite a surprise. I'm excited to be in this new status as the communications associate in a communications associate position that I created and filled for almost a dozen years. I had a lot of the privileges of an emeritus, library access, et cetera, an office. But now I can park on campus. That was the puzzle. I'll be back this summer. I look forward to seeing the faculty, and I'm delighted to see so many friends on this call.
I should tell you, Mark Eisner, that a couple other people. So first, I want to mention the letter that I sent to the dean's office has all the quotes I mentioned and a lot more. So I just pulled out the pieces that I felt were appropriate for now. Jack Muckstad also sent an email quote that I didn't include here, but he mentions also how important you were or are to the department. And Catherine Caggiano wrote a very much heartfelt letter on your behalf. And so I don't know if you were the first senior lecturer to get this title, but I know I tried my best to get it done as quickly as possible. So I mean, you may be first because we just got the okay from the university faculty in March, and here we are in mid-June, and we're very happy to bestow that honor on you. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so the next thing is I want to make sure everybody says I want to make sure Mark sees the notes in the chat. But the next thing is to divide up into groups by class, and I'll try and do that same sharing I did before. Let's see. Yep. And hopefully you all have. I'll stay here in case you don't have the links, but hopefully you have this in your email. And it's supposed to be about 25 minutes to a half an hour, just spending time with your class. But you can feel free to, the links are not blocked. You feel free to bounce around between links if you want. It's up to you. And the faculty that are associated with these names here will be appearing in those links.
Mark.
Yes.
Before we go to the rooms, there's one thing you haven't mentioned, but I'm really impressed with, and that is the promotions that have occurred and the number of chaired professors there are in ORIE. It may be some kind of a record. That includes you. Perhaps that in your modesty, that's why you didn't mention it. But I think there are 9 chaired professors in ORIE out of a faculty of less than 24.
I did not count, but that is true. Peter Frazier was just announced that as of July 1, he will be the Eleanor and Howard Morgan Chair Professor in ORIE. I think that's right. And then, I think that's right. And then I also received a chair. It's a Maxwell M. Upson Professor of Engineering. But maybe equally important are the 3 tenured professors, newly tenured professors, Jamal Pender, Yudong Chen, and Sid Banerjee all will receive tenure as of July 1. So thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, so I'll see you in the Zoom links. Hopefully you enjoy the time with your classes.